It's Friday, the 8th of April, 2022. Welcome to the Fast Five by Fear and Greed, where we give you the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Michael Thompson, and good morning, Sean Aylmer.
Good morning, Michael.
Sean, we have 5 stories to get through in 5 minutes, and there's an absolute cracker coming up. This is probably one of my favourite stories of the year, but we'll get to that one in a second. First, number 1 today, Sean, Australia's major banks, Commonwealth Bank, National Australia Bank, ANZ, Westpac and Macquarie Group as well. They're all outperforming on the share market with the potential for higher interest rates really boosting their outlooks.
The banks are easily the best performers among the top 20 large caps over the past month, and that's the period since the US Federal Reserve started lifting rates, and more recently the local Reserve Bank hinted at increases in the cash rate. Macquarie's up 15%, NAB's 14%, Commonwealth Bank, Westpac 11% and ANZ 9%. The actual market itself, on average, is up just 6%. Rising interest rates should be good for bank earnings because it gives them a chance to stretch their profit margins. It's basically the difference between what a bank pays on a deposit and receives on lending. We're already seeing that fixed interest rates are up, business lending rates are up, variable mortgage rates will also rise once the Reserve Bank lifts the official cash rate. The big winners from this, of course, are the bank shareholders who are receiving big capital gains, but also benefiting from relatively high dividend yields. Of course, will it keep going? Well, I don't know. Ask a financial advisor. They're the people to speak to. There are risks. There could be another major downturn due to a severe outbreak of COVID or an escalation in hostilities in Europe. Also, there's plenty of competition in the mortgage market. Can the banks keep increasing their profit margins? That's still to be seen. And they're major employers, those banks, and wage costs are rising. So who knows if the banks can keep a lid on costs.
All right, on to story number 2, Sean. And we talked a lot about energy and really a push within the energy space to shut down coal-fired power stations, but also that the challenge that the government has, which is just making sure there is stability to make sure that the lights stay on. And so now Federal Energy Minister Angus Taylor wants to force owners of coal-fired power stations to give 5 years' notice of closure.
Yes, it would extend the current 3.5-year requirement. As you say, at issue is reliability of the grid. You close the big fossil fuel stations, you will have all sorts of energy supply issues. Now, renewable energy is becoming cheaper, but it's only a very small portion of the total market. A couple of months ago, Origin Energy said it would bring forward the closure of one of its big power stations. AGL Energy was under takeover offer, and the bidders, including billionaire Mike Cannon-Brookes, wanted to close its coal-fired power plants by 2030. Mr. Taylor's really worried if we retire capacity too quickly, reliability, affordability and security goes out the window.
Story number 3, Sean, and this is the one that I mentioned at the start as one of my favourite stories pretty much of the year because it's just so, I think it's pretty bizarre. But Canberra is worried about whether the Reserve Bank's holdings of gold in England is actually real.
Yeah, so the Reserve Bank used to hold its own gold reserves. Mostly it's now in the Bank of England. Federal LNP Senator Gerard Rennick has always had a bee in his bonnet about whether the 80 tonnes of Australian gold in the vaults was real. Now, why wouldn't it be? Because some time back there was a confidential memo supplied to Parliament saying fake gold bars had been detected at the Bank of England. The upshot of all this, Michael, is that the Reserve Bank is sending someone to London to check that the $6 billion worth of gold is there.
What a job. And what a story. I love that one. All right, moving on to story number 4, Sean. And Ogilvy PR's Believability Index was released yesterday. And basically it ranks a whole stack of politicians in terms of whether voters find them believable.
That's right. Now, Scott Morrison's believability rating has dropped 2 points to 41 points since his 2019 election win. That's much better than Clive Palmer, who's at 29 points, but it's actually below Anthony Albanese at 48 points. There's only one person above Mr. Albanese. That is Jacinta Ardern, the New Zealand Prime Minister. Not sure the Kiwis like her, but the Aussies really do seem to like her. Western Australian Premier Mark McGowan rates highly. So too former New South Wales Premier Gladys Berejiklian, notwithstanding she was forced to resign and didn't look real good in those ICAC hearings. Joe Biden is about midfield, and bottom of the ladder is Donald Trump.
All right. Story number 5. We are running out of time, Sean, so we'll keep this one nice and short. But if you have ever received one of those dodgy scam text messages on your phone, we've got some good news.
Yep, Telstra is introducing a new scam filter, which is totally designed to prevent those dodgy SMS messages appearing. I get them all the time, and I actually do have a scam filter on my phone. I'm still getting them, but hopefully, if you own a Telstra phone, you will no longer get them.
All right, bit of good news to finish on there. The top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Michael.
It's Friday, the 8th of April, 2022. Remember to hit follow on the podcast, and if 5 minutes isn't enough for you, you want a bit more detail, you can find our longer daily show called Fear and Greed, along with a whole lot of interviews and a whole bunch of other things on your podcast platform. I'm Michael Thompson, and that was the Fast 5 by Fear and Greed. Have a great day.